Welcome back to this training podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Martin Olich, and joining me today is...
I'm Hilary Weber.
And we are sans one of our employees. Yeah, Miss Jessie Brock is not with us today. She's a little under the weather, so it's just the two of us for the moment. But we have a pretty cool show today. We're going to be talking with the owners of Baystage Live, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, woman-owned AV companies housed out of Tampa Bay. And we've worked with them on a couple of projects. I mean, not only the stuff that we do, but also the Gasparilla Film Festival.
Yeah, over that time, they've had a hand in a lot of important events, like the Gasparilla International Film Festival, the Gasparilla Parade, and then they have also had a hand in creating some iconic moments throughout the city, bridges, lights on buildings, things like that you just kind of immediately associate with Tampa.
Maybe one of the weirdest moments too is they lit JFK for his speech, which was the last speech he gave before flying to Texas, where he was ultimately assassinated. So that's kind of a weird local hook. But they also did the Olympics in Utah, so they're not just a Tampa-based company. They do events all over the world. So not only have they been around since 1957, but they're a third-generation family-owned business, which I think is really cool. And I'm excited to hear what they have to say. I mean, it's changed hands 3 times amongst family members, and I think what we'll find is that every generation has sort of added something new and unique to the company. So I'm really excited to see what they're bringing and what the future of Baystage Live might be. And with that, we'll be right back with our guests. Welcome back to Loose Training Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Martin Olich, and joining me now is Danielle and Nicole Justo with Baystage Live. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you guys for joining us. I like to set the table, so to speak, for our audience. So before we get into the storied history of Baystage Live, let's talk a little about your backgrounds. So tell me a little bit about yourselves.
So I born and raised in Tampa. I have a husband and a 7-year-old little boy. I have a Labrador Retriever, live in Seminole Heights, love old homes and the historic parts of Tampa, and graduated from USF with a bachelor's in communication. Let's see what else. Dabbled in real estate for a while, and in between all of that, have been involved in the family business since my parents took over.
Wow. And Danielle, how about you?
Same, 3rd generation, born and raised Tampa. I am married with a husband and 2 children, a 7-year-old little girl and a 4-year-old little boy. And I am mommy first, and I graduated from USF with a degree in psychology. And I grew up, I was in 8th grade when my parents bought the company, so I've been involved in Baystage, for many, many years. And that's it,
Yeah. Living in Florida, you meet a lot of people who have come to Florida from elsewhere, right? But it seems like in Tampa Bay, you meet a lot of Tampanos, right? People that are born and raised here. I think it's really cool that not only are you're here representing a Tampa-based company, but a generational company. So let's talk a little about the history of Baystage. So let's start with what does Baystage Live do, and then we'll go into the background of it.
So Baystage Live is a full-service live event production company. We started out as Baystage Lighting in 1957, and we have evolved into full service. So we do anything involved with the technical production of live events.
That's awesome. And who started the company originally?
Our parents' godfather, my mom's godfather, started the company in 1957. He was the only game in town back in the day, and he was instrumental in many aspects of the lighting industry. He even helped invent a par can with Altman company, and he started the company. My parents loved it throughout the years, worked there, and here we are now.
That's great. And your parents, I guess, obviously, worked with your godfather. When did they actually take over the company?
In 1998.
Okay.
Sam Marino was his name, just so we could put a name with the godfather. His health started declining in the 90s, and being that my mother and father both worked for the company when they were younger adults, they always had a passion for theater, and they wanted to own a business of their own. My mother by trade was a teacher, and my father was always in the wine and liquor business. And, you know, they wanted to be their own boss. They wanted to have something for their family. They wanted to have something for us to always be able to be a part of. And my parents are very much family oriented. Not that we aren't, but they want any way they can keep our family together, they're going to do it. So they thought buying a business would be a great idea. And they jumped into this business without really understanding, even though they worked for Bay Stage Lighting back in the 60s and 70s, they didn't really understand the ins and outs of this industry being a highly technical entertainment industry. My mother was a dancer and involved in musical theater, and my father he dabbled in acting a little bit, and that's actually how they met. So that was always kind of a connection for the two of them. But Sam's health started declining in the 90s, and they saw an opportunity, and they approached him, and they ended up buying the business in 1998.
Wow. I mean, you have diverse backgrounds. Your parents have diverse backgrounds, and you enter into this space, event planning. That's got to be a different change, right? A different speed, so to speak.
Absolutely.
What was it like just learning the trade growing up and making that transition?
It's been challenging. We're still learning the trade, to be completely honest. I think that something that we love about being in this industry is that our employees run our business. I mean, obviously we run our business, but our employees are a huge part of what we do and why we're successful. And what we love about that is we give them an opportunity to shine in a space where maybe they wouldn't have been able to. And we love our employees, and we treat them like family, and they are our family. So it empowers us to give them the opportunity to do what they love.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk a little about what Bay Stage does. So let's start at the beginning. You mentioned that Bay Stage Lighting was essentially the only game in town. Mm-hmm. What was sort of the first formative things that Bay Stage did? I mean, how did they operate in the community? Were they mostly doing events? Was it film sets? Was it stage plays? What were they focusing on?
Sam started with like the only spotlights in town, and he would travel from Florida to California. I mean, he lit Disney World. He lit Elvis, he lit JFK. I mean, we have a board, a very, very old board. It's like, antique in our shop, and it is the last show that was programmed on that board is Journey. So like he's done some pretty cool things. And then obviously the market started getting other people interested in the industry. So he was very instrumental in the beginning of this type of industry.
Yeah.
His passion was in stage performances. That's where his love evolved into this business. Was in stage performance.
And when did it start shifting, if I can say it, towards events more than stage?
Oh, that's your question.
That's a really good question. So when he started the business, he was working out of his mother's garage, and eventually he transitioned his entire business into so we used to be on McDill in South Tampa. And so his mother lived on one side of McDill, and then when my parents bought the company, all of our facilities were across the street from where his mother lived. And we had like this small little office building. We had these all decompartmentalized. I mean, it was a mess of buildings. We had a duplex that we had equipment and drapes stored in. So when he actually changed from one to the other, I'm not exactly sure. But I think that because he was the only game in town, I think that there was a demand, and it just started getting bigger and bigger. And because it was his passion, that's kind of how it
I feel like it would be safe to say that we moved more into the events industry when mom and dad were in the business. I feel like he was more stages and...
Because that was what his background was.
I feel like he did more Strawberry Festival concerts. I feel like he did more of that.
Yeah, when you look, when I say stage performances, his passion was in theater. Mm-hmm. I should say theater. And then as the business evolved, you're right, it did go more into stage performance, not so much theater, but like lighting a president, giving a speech, or concerts, or like the Strawberry Festival, Knott's Berry Farms, things like that. So you're right. I think when you go from stage performance to events, it definitely was probably once my parents took over the business.
So generationally, it's evolved.
Yeah.
So your parents take over, and then it moves more towards events.
Lighting events.
And then
now, since more in the recent times, it's been more all audio visual events, full live events.
Yeah.
So it has evolved.
In going off of that theme of generationally changing a little bit, what did you guys sort of change the company or morph the company into when you took over?
Sure. So in July, Danielle and I purchased the company from my parents, and our first order of business was we had been kind of in talks with AVSS, Bob and Jeff, and our first order of business was kind of like, we need to join forces because it just makes sense. And they were at a time where they were ready to start kind of retiring and enjoying their life a little bit more, and so it was a perfect opportunity to join with them, and we're ready to take over the world.
Yeah.
We're
So
excited.
with the acquisition or the partnership with AVSS, you are now one of, if not the largest women-owned AV companies in the U.S., certainly within Florida.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing to be able to say.
Yeah.
Talk about sort of the size and scope of Baystage now and how you've evolved and grown and just all of the different services you guys now provide.
So from the time we bought the business in July of 2022, we've doubled in size as far as our staff, and we're still shorthanded.
Yes.
That's something that we're really struggling with right now, is finding crew members to help on shows, and we're also looking for staff to help us, in the office with the logistics of our business. We're growing very quickly, and it's very exciting. We want to make sure that we grow steadily. We're not looking to do anything crazy or drastic. We just want to make sure that we can provide a very steady employment for everyone that works for us. That's very important to us. And we want to make sure we have the business to support that. So we are going to grow slowly, but definitely steadily.
Yeah.
And again, like it's definitely evolved quite a bit.
So third generation now, looking back to the beginning of Baystage, how has just the technology shifted and transformed? I mean, you mentioned Parcan lights, and now I assume almost everything's LEDs.
Everything is LED.
Like how has that changed, and what was it like to witness that transition as you grew up?
Well, it was very expensive. First and foremost, it was very expensive. When my parents took over the business, everything was incandescent lighting, so everything took a lot of power to run. And we have completely transitioned our inventory into, we're all LED. We don't have anything incandescent anymore.
We had a pretty massive gel inventory that we're slowly trying to sell
Anybody
off.
wants some gel sheets? We've got plenty. Lots of colors. There's definitely been a huge, it's been a lot of, and we want to make sure that we're buying the right equipment for our business and for our customers, because there's a lot of options out there now, and you can buy stuff online, you can buy stuff from, out of the country, and we just want to really focus on what is the best equipment that's going to last us, that's going to be, best used on versatility. We want to focus on versatility because everything's very expensive. We're in technology, and the technology changes quickly.
And we have to buy every year. I mean, we need to keep buying. We got to stay up with it, because if not, then you're obsolete.
We can only do as much business as we have equipment to
and crew to
supply.
service it too.
Exactly,
yeah.
right.
So talk a little about specifically the services that Baystage provides. Is it just lighting? I mean, what do you got? If I came to you and say, hey, I'm putting on an event at the convention center, what would I actually be getting from you guys?
We could do everything that you need involved with the technical side of production. So we can do the lighting, we can do the audio visual, we have LED walls, we can do rigging, we have motors, we have, everything that you would need. Staging, we try to stay away from anything decor-wise. While we will do some stage design and set design, we try to stay away from, the decor side of things. We have great partners that we use for those types of things, draping and
AV
soft
and
goods.
lighting specific.
Absolutely.
Really.
Yep.
And talk about some of your clients you've worked with, whether it was your parents or you guys after taking over. Like, who are some of your big clients people would recognize?
Yeah, so we have been working with the Umistic crew of Gasparilla since our inception since their inception. No, not theirs, but ours in the 50s. They are part of our family, and we're very proud to have a partnership with them. We work with the Tampa Gasparilla International Film Festival, as you know.
Yep.
We have a lot of festivals that we work with throughout town. We have a lot of galas and fundraisers that we do around town. We do a lot of local work, but we also do a lot of corporate events outside of Tampa as well.
We're in-house at Armature Works and JCC.
Awesome.
So we also are there.
And, right now, Tampa's going through a huge explosion. Just transitionally, you look at downtown 5 years ago and today, you wouldn't recognize it, right? And that's just going to change even more as we continue, whether that's new hotels, new attractions, new waterfront. I believe they just announced the continuation of the Riverwalk further down. I mean, there's so many things changing. How are you guys looking into the future and trying to adapt to where Tampa might be in 5 years?
Well, we are partners with Visit Tampa Bay, and we work closely with them on a lot of their events where they bring different organizations to town to showcase our city and stuff. And, we're excited about where Tampa's going, and that's one of the reasons why we're growing so quickly, I think. I think that we are doing a good job keeping up with the growth in our city, and we're excited for it.
Yeah,
I love our city.
I was going to ask you about our city.
I love our city so much. It makes me proud.
I'm really proud to be sitting next to you guys because you do so much good community work. You partner with the Gasparilla Film Festival, which we're hugely involved in. Talk about growing up in Tampa Bay and what it means to you guys, not just to work in Tampa, but be a Tampa-based company, and why you choose to continue that company here in Tampa.
I'm Tampa through and through. I have friends who moved away out of college and they're like, "You're crazy to stay in Tampa." And I'm like, "No, I am proud to be here, and I love our city." And I don't even know what your question was. All I know is I love Tampa. I love being a part of it, and I love being able to say I'm third generation Tampa native. I'm proud to say that we've seen it grow. We've seen it change. I remember Gasparilla being a kid when you didn't need, gates, and you were sitting on the floor running out, grabbing the beads.
It was a children's parade. I mean, the Gasparilla parade was a children's parade. It was very different back in the 80s and 90s. I remember growing up and going to high school, the amount of time it would take us to get from point A to point B has doubled since then. And, there's definitely some frustrating aspects of what we remember as children and kind of that nostalgic. It's just not like that anymore, but there are big things coming, and it's bittersweet, if you will, to see the growth. We miss a little bit of our hometown, the small town that we grew up in, and everybody knew everybody. And I had friends in high school to be like, "Of course you know that. We're with Nicole, like she knows everybody in the restaurant or at the mall or whatever we did. We just, because we're from here and our families are from here, so we're running into relatives and cousins and friends everywhere. But it is exciting to see people want to move here, and it's exciting for our business. It's exciting for our town. It's exciting for the
future,
the commerce in our town.
Yeah,
very exciting.
So there's not a ton of AV companies, but there's quite a few to choose from these days. What makes Baystage Live unique? Why would someone choose you over someone else?
Well, we've been around since 1957. We know what we're doing. We are a family, and we are dedicated to our customers. Part of our mission in our business is to make our customers part of our family. We want to bring them in as part of our family. We want to work together with them and partner with them. It is definitely something that we focus on heavily. We have employees that have been with us for over 20 years. A lot of our staff has been around for a long time. And even those that have left, they still come back. So I think that we are an awesome place to work. I think that we love our community. We want to contribute to our community in every way we can, which we do through events. We're sponsoring, every time you turn around, we're sponsoring something. We just really provide, if you will, a small business service. The service we provide, I think, is one you would find with a small family-owned business, even though, we are growing substantially.
Yeah. So you're not like a conglomerate where if I have a problem, I have to wait on, a call booth or,
No.
a call line,
No.
hey, 30 minutes for someone to call me back.
No.
I call and someone's going to pick up the phone.
You're gonna get me.
No,
Danielle.
you're not gonna get her.
Well, yes.
I'm just joking.
I pick up the phone too. No, you're going to get me. You're going to get Chris. You're going to get Bob. You're going to get, any of our employees who answer the phone all the time. Yeah, we make the decisions. We're right there ready to make decisions.
Yeah.
And we do make decisions. And
all
we
day,
take
every
care of
day.
things.
Yeah.
And if I can just quote Bob, he said in a video the other day that anybody can give you the equipment. And it's about the people who put in the effort, the dedication, the love, the passion, the creativity behind the equipment that makes our company so special. And that's what you're going to get from Baystage, is people that love what they do and love working for us, and that exudes through the events.
Yeah, and I can say that from personal experience. You know, I've been with this job now for 10 years and with the Gasparilla Film Festival that entire time as well. And I can honestly say Gasparilla Film Festival would not exist without Baystage Live and AVSS putting in the work, the time, and the effort, and the care into making it run well.
That really means a lot.
It does, and especially for filmmakers, right? You want to know that, you know, when you're ingesting a DCP and when you're doing the sound and the visuals, that it looks crisp and good. It looks how you intended it when you made it as a filmmaker, and that's super important. And we've never had an issue where a filmmaker came up to us and said, "Oh man, it didn't sound great," or "I didn't like the projection," or some kind of glitch, right? You guys are always there every step of the way to make it run well, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So let's have some fun stories now. You know, either growing up from your parents or anywhere you want to pull from. Some on 60 years you've been around. What are some of the biggest events, most memorable events that really put Baystage on the map and something you remember fondly?
Okay, I'm gonna speak real quick. My favorite, and this I feel like I tell my friends, Baystage Live, or, anybody that I speak to, and they don't really understand what we do. Unless you're in the industry, nobody gets it. Everyone takes lighting for granted. Everyone takes it all for granted. You're at a concert, you're there to see the performer, you kind of forget that the lighting and the sound, all of that is what really makes it. I mean, obviously the performer's making it, but you know what I mean. So when we lit up the ship for Super Bowl during COVID. Yeah, the Gasparilla ship during COVID. And the amount of people on social media talking about that ship, and I just wanted to be like, we did that. Like, I can finally explain to everyone, like, that's what my company does. And it was so impressive. And that made me so proud.
Oh, it was spectacular. And it was on every single piece of collateral from the Super Bowl. It was one of the most memorable shots on any of the TV promos you saw. I mean, that's what made it. We're in Tampa Bay. We know it's Tampa Bay. Yep. There's the pirate ship. So that's really cool.
It's a link back to our hometown,
right?
Which is cool.
So what about you? Any particular favorite memory?
So for me, I mean, I just feel like every event we do is really cool. I know that the design that goes into everything we do is custom to every customer. And when you see it all let me just back up a second. When you see it loaded up in the warehouse and all the cases, and it's like, it's taking up a whole bay, you're like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. But it doesn't mean anything. Right. And then you see it go on the truck, and then you see it arrive, and then you see all the guys working, the crew working, because there's many females that work too. You see them putting everything together, and then the lights, like the sun goes down, the lights go up, and every single show is just like, damn, that's really cool. Like I'm just very proud of everything we do and the amount of professionalism that our people bring to every show we do. I honestly, we've done so many shows,
large and small,
and every one of them is unique and special in their own way. And I just love seeing the final product. And to me, like, to think all the time and effort that it goes to put something together and then take it down that same night, I'm like, can we just leave it up for a few days? It's just so much work that goes into it.
And that's really important to note. I mean, you go to an event, you go to a party or whatever, you get to go home, and the crew stays afterwards to actually break down, and that's a commitment. That's a lot of work.
They do, and it's like they're undoing everything they just did a few hours ago. To me, that is crazy. Like, to me, that would just do something to my like psyche, like knowing that I have to take this down in 5 hours. Like, why am I even doing this? But they do it over and over,
it's like
every day.
Pushing a rock up a hill,
knowing it's going to come back down.
I have to imagine, working in the event industry, you probably have some strange requests or out of left field kind of things. What's the weirdest thing you've ever been asked to provide lighting for?
Oh my goodness. The weirdest thing. I don't even know if I have an answer to that question.
I mean, the pirate ship's pretty weird. I mean, let's be honest.
If you really put that in perspective, yeah.
Weird but cool. I mean, we have lit some awesome performers, but weird, I don't know. I mean, I know we have one event planner that has an obsession with mirror balls, and I don't even think I have to say her name for everyone that was talking to know who we're talking about. So, I mean, we have so many mirror balls in our warehouse. It's crazy. But they are really cool, and they really, I mean, lighting really makes them look awesome. Or I should say the mirror balls make our lighting look awesome. I'm not sure which way, but so, I mean, definitely mirror balls would be one thing that has become like a thing that we do all over the place.
I can't think. I mean,
I can't think of
if
anything
if you had
strange.
some of our employees here, I'm sure they could give you some stories. They probably talk people off the ledges all the time.
I would say, I mean, I know like in our early days of before my parents bought the company, we had a terrible reputation. And to the point where, because, you know, Sam had begun getting sick and the people running his company were kind of taking advantage and
partaking in some not so great
in illegal
habits.
activities. And yeah. And we had a reputation that, like, if you're getting your gear from Bay Stage, you better make sure you got double, because chances are
It doesn't work.
half of it's not going to work. And so we are really proud to know that we've turned that around 100%. I should say a full 180, right? So not a 360.
I always say, like, most companies build their company from the ground up. We, like, built our company, my parents, from below ground and went up and higher than the ground.
It's true. And that's always harder. When you have a bad reputation that you have to turn around, that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
And so we're very proud that we've done that, because now our reputation is very good.
Oh, yeah, I've been in the market since 2008, and I've never heard someone say something bad about Bay Stage. So I didn't even know that story. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's how good your reputation is now. So let's talk a little about the acquisition of AVSS and why that was important for the future of your company. So what did you gain by bringing AVSS into the family, so to speak, and how is it helping you grow?
Oh my gosh, we've gained, we gained Bob. Bob Clements is, he's just such a dream to have around. He brings a personality that we love. I mean, that's one of the most wonderful things about AVSS. We gained all of their equipment. We gained a large customer base, which really a lot of our customer base was like one and the same, if you will. They overlapped a lot. We gained a lot of equipment. We gained, Jeff was with us for a short time. He has since retired and he's enjoying life.
We gained the staff.
And we gained their staff and the knowledge of their staff. And everybody has been wonderful to work with. And we always loved working with AVSS. I mean, that's why it was such a great fit. So, just the people and the equipment for the most part, but we have the ability now to do so much more.
Yeah.
And now we've combined AVSS was around since, I think it was 1989. So together we have over 90 years of experience in Tampa Bay, in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah.
I think that's impressive, and I don't know that there's anywhere else that can say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all under one roof now, too.
Yep.
So you go to a lot of event companies or lighting companies, and if you need a projector or something else, they have to rent that out from someone else, or it's another third party. It's someone else in the equation. Whereas if they come to you guys, it's all under the same umbrella.
Yep.
So I think that's really important for customer service, too, I'm sure.
For sure. And it's all going under the same process of being tested and, checked out, returned, tested, the whole process that we have for all of our equipment. So our quality assurance is, up to high standards. And it's definitely been a huge, it's been really awesome to bring the whole team together.
Awesome.
There's a lot of competition out there. So we had to basically make a decision. Are we going to stay where we are, or are we going to make moves? And we decided we're going to make moves. And it was either buy equipment and do this and do that, or team up with an amazing company with an amazing reputation and bring them in and let's do it. And that's what we did.
Yeah, awesome. In looking into the future, are you hoping your kids someday take over the business too, so we can say it's a fourth generation business?
My son already says, "Mommy, when I grow up, I want to work in your warehouse."
It's
so
scary to think these kids right now doing that, but oh my gosh, yes, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, who knows what I want them to follow their passion, and if being at Bay Stage as little kids, I mean, because they are there. Like I bring my son to work with me. If growing up there gives them a passion for this industry, I would love for them to be able to carry that on. But if they want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a
Paleontologist,
plumber, I don't care. Whatever makes them happy,
Yeah, it's a great answer. So looking at the future, is there something else on the horizon you're looking into investing or growing more? Is it just building up the crew base? Like what's your next steps?
Right now, we need people to help. We need help. Right now, we're looking to build our staff so that we can handle effortlessly the business that we have. Once we get to that point, then we will obviously be looking to obviously bring in more business. We're always looking for additional opportunities to invest. I would love to buy up anything that would make sense, but it's got to be a win-win. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what that next step is, but we're definitely open to any opportunities that might come our way.
Yeah. And just because someone might be listening to this and say, hey, I'm looking for a job, I know lighting. What are some of the things you're looking for? Yeah. What are some of the things you're looking for in a potential employee?
It's always best if they have some production knowledge, some industry knowledge, technology background. But if not, that's okay. We can teach that. I think most importantly, it's someone that has a passion for doing the job right the first time, and someone that has a good work ethic.
It's someone that wants to grow with our company.
Yeah.
We want to grab them and have them stay with us forever. Like we like to, even people that are no longer with us, most people still come back and visit. Like once you're in forever.
Or they may not work for us full time, but they still come back and freelance for us because they love us and they love our company, and that's something that we want to maintain. It's very important that when we hire someone, we're hiring them as part of our family, and we want them to stick around. It's really kind of one of our interview questions, like where do you see yourself in a year or two? And if it's not here with our company or doing this in the industry, then we're probably going to keep looking, because that's just not what we're looking to do. We want to build our family.
So do you think your godfather would recognize the company today from what he built originally?
Probably not.
No. I'm assuming he would be proud of where it's gone, though.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so.
Well, certainly the reputation's there.
Yes.
I always like to give an opportunity so people can find out more about Baystage Live. What's your social media plugs? How can people learn more? How can they book you guys?
Sure. Well, call us, 813-877-1089.
Hopefully that's not your cell phone. That's
No, I'll give you my cell phone too if you want it, though. Our website is www.baystagelive.com. And we are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on LinkedIn. I think everything is pretty much Baystage Live. So we're very easy to find. And and if you see us out and about, stop and say hi, talk to our people, talk to us. If you see us, we'd love to meet you.
Fantastic. Anything else you want to end with?
No, we're excited for the future. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. And again, I cannot thank you guys and Bob, who's off camera to the right here, for all the efforts you do in the community. It has not gone unnoticed.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
For everyone listening, we'll be right back. And welcome back. I thought that was a really cool interview. We learned a whole lot about Baystage. I will die on this hill, but the one thing that is unforgivable, whether it's in a film or an event, is bad AV. No one will recognize something is wrong quicker than if they hear the audio and it just sounds terrible. So it's cool to know there's a company like that in town that is able to handle just about anything event-wise.
Especially a company with so much history, so many amazing moments. You can tell that they're really dedicated to their craft. And it was interesting, too, just to see the family attitude. I feel like if I had to run a business with my sibling, it would not go so well. So the fact that they're able to, keep things going is really impressive.
Yeah. Well, not only work with your sibling, but then have the pressure of taking over the family business from your parents. That would terrify me. I wouldn't want to, wake up every morning expecting a call from my mother, like, you're running my company into the ground. Like, that's got to be a lot of pressure. Yeah,
you've got a solid reputation. Yeah. You're known locally for doing things well. It's got to be a lot of pressure. So.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's just cool to say that it's a family-owned, third generational business. Very few people can say that. Yeah. And I think it's cool that they're born and raised in Tampa Bay, and really is a Tampa company. And their reputation, I know they mentioned that it wasn't always sterling, but certainly as long as I've been in the market, they've just been a very reputable, community-focused company. And I think that really speaks volumes, not only about what they do, but Tampa Bay at large. I've always said Tampa Bay has a sort of a Midwestern family feel, with us growing exponentially. I don't think we've lost that sort of small town sensibility. I think that's reflected in a lot of our local businesses.
Yeah.
So I mentioned, like, there's nothing more unexcusable than bad lighting and bad AV. It's something that audiences, or if you're at an event, you'll immediately know. But can you think of any event where they had just an amazing lighting or amazing AV and you were really impressed by everything that was happening around you?
I think you don't notice if it goes smoothly. If it goes well, it just becomes part of the experience and part of the moment. But if it does go poorly, yeah, stuff is really going to stick out. And I think, like, at a film festival, you notice if the masking is wrong, if the projection is off, it's going to affect your experience. But if it goes well, like, it should be seamless.
Yeah. And they do really high-end events. And we were talking to Bob, who was from AVSS, the company they just acquired, off camera in between the break. And he was mentioning that out of all the events during the year, the one that is the most pressure driven is the Gasparilla Film Festivals, because he has that sensibility, like, I need to make this as good as I possibly can for the filmmakers because it's important to them. And I think it's a really cool attitude to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you see that with a lot of events people, where there is the pressure, but they kind of thrive on that.
Yeah, I think you have to. Danielle mentioned, just the idea of setting something up and then having to tear it down a couple hours later. And I sort of joked, it's like rolling a rock up a hill, I'll have it roll back down you. That's a hard thing to want to get up in the morning and do every day.
Yeah. It's also sort of zen in a way, too. You set it all up and then take it all back
down
down again.
Yeah, you certainly know what your day is going to be involved in, But that was a good conversation, and I don't think people, like you said, they don't notice it when it's done well, right? Because it sort of seamlessly blends into the background. So there are a lot of people that work events. We always mention how big film crews are. You should see some of these events and how many people they employ and bring in to stage these huge spaces and make them look amazing for whatever event or a concert it might be. But one of the things they mentioned, just sort of iconic things they've lit, they mentioned the Gasparilla ship. And even for people who are not from Tampa Bay, if you watch the Super Bowl or even were aware of the Super Bowl happening a couple of years ago, you could not have missed the Gasparilla ship. It was in the middle of the bay, lit up beautiful. They had the big fireworks things every night. And I didn't know that they were the ones that actually lit with the boat. So that was really cool.
Well, there's so much that goes into making that one moment, right? Like, a concert might only be an hour, 90 minutes, but it's how much lead time to get all these people together, get all the equipment, figure all of that out. Yeah.
So something we just experienced working with Baystage and AVSS was the Gasparilla Film Festival, which when we're recording this, it just took place a couple of weeks ago. But for closing night, we had Patrick Wilson and his brothers have a band that came in, and we were in an ancient ballroom space. We were at the Florida Palace Hotel, which was built in the 20s, and the ballroom looks like it was built in the 20s, and that's not necessarily to its credit, though it is being renovated. But they had to transform that space and make it cool. And I think they did that really well.
Yeah, they created a really memorable evening. Patrick Wilson was there, Paul Wilson, and then the other Wilson, who I think is Mark Wilson.
Yeah,
sorry to be the other Wilson. But they also, they speaking of family businesses, that's one. They brought out their kids, too, to perform. So it was a really special moment for everybody, and a nice way to wrap up the festival.
It was, and just talking about the importance of AV, there's a ton of people that come in for the festival, and we want them to have a good experience, a memorable experience. And if it didn't look right, if it didn't sound well, people would not have walked away at the end of that festival with a good memory. And I think that's just how important good AV is. And like you said, if it's done well, you don't notice it. But we definitely would have noticed it if it was done poorly.
Yeah.
But with that, I think we'll wrap it up for the day. Thanks for listening. Normally, I'd pitch to Jesse Brock right now and have all of our social media spaces. So I'm going to do that to you now, Hilary. Where can they learn more about us?
You can learn more about us on social media at Film Tampa Bay, and you can stream us wherever podcasts are streamed, Spotify, YouTube, and follow us at Film Tampa Bay.
Fabulous. And with that, we'll see you next time.